I'm so glad you have joined me for the hymn, He Set Me Free. It's a great upbeat hymn. It still has a message that's so vital to the church today. I wanted to give you a little bit of help. I've had people ask me, how do you take just a basic chord progression with the 1, 4, and 5 chord, as this one is, and how do you make it sound more interesting? How do you dress it up, so to speak? So I'm going to go ahead and dive right into that today. And you also can, if you're looking for the basic chord progression, you can go back and see the video by ear where I go through this hymn and talk through those basic chord progressions. But for now, we're going to go on to a little bit more advanced level and find a way to get this hymn more exciting for you to play and bring to your church. Okay, so I'm going to use this key of F for He Set Me Free. The original key in the hymn book is A flat, but it gets a bit high to sing, and also F is a little more common and easier to play, so we're going to stick with that key for now. I'm going to start with the chorus on He Set Me Free. It begins on the 4 chord B flat, and it kind of sits there, He set me free as He set me free, going to the F. So it's a B flat to F. That's the basic progression. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow the melody a little bit here on that B flat chord and walk it out. He set me free. That gets you to that B flat 7. I'm adding the A flat there. So I'm just opening the hand almost to reach an octave there. B flat, D, F, A flat, 1, 2, 3, and 5. And that way I get a nice feel. If you want to trace out the whole melody, you can, or if you just want to add the B flat on the word free. He set me free. That works as well. Okay, and then we'll talk through one more thing at the end of this line. He set me free. So that is sitting on that 1 chord for a second. So I like to do a little quick passing chord that I add in there. This is a tool that you can use over and over again for a lot of songs, especially hymns. When you're sitting on the 1 chord, the F chord, for a long period of time, or even just a little more than a couple of beats, you can jump to what we call a passing chord. So this fills in that time, but it doesn't take away from the original chord progression. This chord that I'm talking about is the B flat chord, or 4 chord. He set me free. So I'm just jumping right back to that, noticing that I'm playing the F chord here as A, C, F. That way I can go to B flat, D, F. Oh, it's so simple to do. Not a lot of extra work on my hand. 1st, 2nd, 5th finger, 1st, 3rd, and 5th finger. Okay, so the right hand, He set me free, yes, He set me free. There you go. So that gives a little more interest. What do we do with the left hand? That's always the question. What do we do? Left hand, I'm going to do what we call a gentle rock, mostly the name of the chord and the 5th above it. So in other words, I'm leaving out the middle note of the chord. If we're talking about B flat, I'll play B flat and F. Those of you that like octaves, you can do octaves and do a rock there. If you have a bass player, I suggest you stay up here and stay out of the octave range. So I'm just going to do a gentle rock here, and the function of the left hand for these faster hymns is to basically provide some rhythm interest. So I'm going to do that by rocking back and forth, and I'm going to add these hands together like so. Okay, so if you like the way that sounds, let me break that down for you and get that together. It's not as hard as it sounds. It's actually pretty easy. So I'm just going to unravel that and go super slow so you can play with me. Okay, so left hand, here's your B flat and F. When I say hands together, obviously both hands will play at the same time. When I say left, I'm just going to gently bounce on that thumb. So together, left, right, together, left, right, left, right. It's just simply hands alternating there. I'm doing it very slowly. Okay, talking through together, left, right, together, left, right, together, left, right. Okay, so that's the basic idea. You just have to get it where you can play it up to tempo, of course. So I just want to remind you, when you're playing the left-hand thumb, we're playing gently. We're not using a thumb as a hammer. Sometimes I see people kind of thump out that thumb. On this case, we're just doing a light bounce here, so that way it doesn't overtake or distract from what's happening with the melody and the lyrics, but we just want to have a nice rhythm fill. I'm just kind of rocking that wrist back and forth, so it's very easy to do, just shifting the weight from the hand one finger to the next. Okay, so that gets us through that first part. We actually got through 1, 2, 3 tools. Use the 1 chord. I made it into a 7 chord following the melody. We added the right hand, a passing chord from F to B flat, and we talked about the left hand, how to use that rocking rhythm to fill in the left hand. Okay, going on to He Broke the Bonds, we're going to do He broke the bonds of prison for me. All right, so I did a whole lot right there in one line. So that 1 chord stays stationary for quite a long time on He Broke the Bonds of Prison. So if you're like, this is kind of boring, I don't want to sit here on this, we're going to do what's called a chord substitution. So you take the name, the chord F, the original chord, and it's the tonic chord, so F, substitute F with D minor. How does that work? How is that even possible? How can you just make that decision? Well, I'll show you. Here's an F chord, F, A, C. Here's the D minor chord, D, F, A. So noticing that both chords share this F and A. So 2 out of the 3 notes are shared between those 2 chords. So this is why we can do chord substitution. It's a really great tool to have in your toolkit. So when you're hanging out and just sitting on that 1 chord for a long time, you can shift down to a 6. It sounds interesting. First of all, it's minor, so we're going from major to minor, adds a little bit more flavor in there, and also gives you something more interesting to do. So one easy way to do that is start on that F chord. I'm going to play it as C, F, A, and then when I move to the D minor, it's just D, F, A. That's pretty easy to do. Okay, so left hand, you can do a single note and just walk down. E, D, F, E, D. He broke the bonds. So broke the bonds. That's exactly the timing there. He broke the bonds. Right hand, I tend to fill out the melody a little bit with that. C, F, A, E, D minor. I trace that left hand as well. So that's up to you how far you want to go with that. But at least the left hand doing that walk down, that would be so nice. If you want to do the octave, whichever version works for you. So okay, so that immediately adds a lot more interesting and gives you a different goal on that progression. On My Jesus to See, you can add in a few extra chords. So it's basically just sitting there. A prison for me. I got off. Sorry, I went to the next line. So broke the bonds of prison for me. So it just kind of sits on that C chord, that 5 chord. So I'm going to just kind of bounce back and forth between the F chord and the C chord. I'm going to spell that F chord as C, F, A. And then all I have to do is just bring my 3rd and 5th finger over to play C, E, G. The C doesn't move. Prison for me. Again, I'm just following the melody there, but I'm just kind of using those chords back and forth, F to C, F to C. And that way I have a really nice rhythmic motion moving in there. Left hand, you're going to stay stationary on the C. The pattern is that the chord is just a C there. Prison for me. So I'm not wanting to change that. So left hand, you can stay stationary. Again, I'm just going back and forth between the C and the G. Same thing as I did on the first line with the B flat chord. Okay, so that gets us through half of the course. If you need to pause here and kind of think through and work through that first half, go right ahead. Meanwhile, I'm going to move forward to I'm Glory Bound. So there's something I like to do on I'm Glory Bound. We're going to add that chord, passing chord back in there. We're in the F chord again. I'm glory bound, I'm glory bound. Together, right, left. So we do that rhythm pattern again with the fill. It's hard to talk and say it. And I just use that back to the B flat. So I already showed you that. And then Jesus to See, you can continue using that B flat passing chord. So that's the simplest way to add something. My Jesus to see. That works very well. If you want a little bit more, go one step farther. You know me, I always want more. I want to add in a set of 4 chords here. So I'm going to do G minor, F, B flat, F. So this traces again kind of out the tune, but it gives you some more chordal interest, some more harmony interest. So you have G minor. I'm spelling that as B flat, D, G. That way I can just slide over to A, C, F, B flat, D, F, and A, C, F. So I'm placing these chords in positions where I can just move very quickly from one to the other. If you play them in root position, you can still do that, but I don't know if you'll get the speed that we need for this. So you can think about what works best for you. Okay, so my Jesus to See, 1, 2, 5, 1, 2, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1, 2, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's the fingers, and then I just called out the order that I used to make that quicker. Left hand, you're going to stay put on that F because that's the main chord focus there. Jesus to see. All right, so that line, I'm glory bound, my Jesus to see. Okay, we're going back then on glory to God. I'm going to move again to that substitution chord. So D minor will come here, glory. Okay, so instead of just sitting on that F chord, we're going to go down. So you can do your walk again if you want to do the walk down. My Jesus to see, glory to God. That's totally acceptable. If you want to add something a little different instead of using the same exact tool, then what we'll do is after you get through with Jesus you see, we're going to add a chord that doesn't belong in the key of F major. What is that about? Well, it actually sounds really good. Take a listen. We'll go, Jesus you see. That guy, that doesn't match. So that is an A major chord, an A major 7. So I'm going to spell that as A major, A, C sharp, E, add the 7th above it, which is G. I'm going to put C sharp in the left hand. And the reason I'm doing that is I want the left hand to go from C sharp to D on that glory to God. So that way it's a really tight bass line and it sounds really great there. So how come A major? I'm trying to give you reasons and so that way you can apply this to other songs. So what I did was I pretended just for a moment that D minor was the key that I'm focusing on, which I am. I simply counted up to the 5th note of D, and then I made it a major chord and added the 7. So basically it acts like the 5-7, the dominant 7th that we would have. So in the key of F, we play C7, that's our dominant 7. But I tricked the ear a little bit, and I pretended that D minor is my primary goal, at least temporarily. So I added the 5th chord above D minor. That's the idea. So, glory to God. It sounds really great. Okay, and then set me free, set me free. Left hand, you're staying on the octave C's or the C5. F, C7, or you can just play C, B flat major, C. So I just walk through those chords really fast. C, F, A, B flat, C, E, G, or just C, E, G, whatever fits you best. Keep the B flat and go to B flat, D, F, and down to A, C, F. Okay, so you can walk through that as many times as you need to and get that into your fingers. Again, you can do the simpler version on that where you just add the B flat, glory to God, He said. No, that wouldn't work there. He set me free. Yeah, just go from that F to C, set me free. So that's the simpler version. If all those extra chords are just overwhelming, that is totally fine. Wherever you're at in your skill level, don't be shy. Take what you need from this and go forward. Okay, so that gets us through the course. Again, if you need to pause and just kind of marinate, bake through all of that, think through, that's for you to do. I'm going to move forward and start thinking about how we can go to the next sections of the song. This hymn, usually you'll sing that chorus more than one time. And so when you finish the chorus and you go, set me free, we're going to add here on this F chord, I'm pretending that I'm going back to the chorus. I'm going to add the 7th. A, C, E flat, F is the way I'm going to spell that. Noticing my left hand is playing the note A. Again, I'm making a half step forward to that B flat on He set me free. So that's another trick we use. When you have a 1 chord and you're going to the 4 chord, you can add the 7th, the whole step below, E flat is the name of that extra note, and then move on to that 4 chord. So it adds a little spice there. Really cool technique that you can use for a lot of these up-tempo hymns. Now, here's the good news. The verses are a little bit easier, I think. They're not as busy. So maybe that'll be a sigh of relief for you. We're going to go on some of these tools that we talked about in the course. We're just going to cut and paste and put them into verse 1. So for example, once like a bird in prison I dwelt, we're going to hang out on that 1 chord for a long time, really that whole first line of the verse. So you can go back and forth between that 1 and the passing chord 4. Once like a bird in prison I dwelt. Easy, right? When you get to the end of dwelt, notice that we're headed on to no freedom from That's the B flat chord. So use what I just showed you on the F7 over A in the left hand. No freedom from my sorrow I felt. Wait a minute. That's exactly what we did on the first line of the course. So yeah, you don't have to do anything different. Just cut and paste that part exactly the same. Whew, I like that. Okay, on to the third line. Third line, same as the first. But Jesus came and listened to me. So just back and forth between that F and B flat and using the rocking fifths. Okay, and then we're going to that D minor again. So you can walk down, glory to God, or you could do listen to me. Again, that's repeated material from the course, so I'm not going to explain that again. And then he set me free. That's going to feel exactly like the end of the course. What? Yeah, we're repeating so much information here. So, glory. Or however many chords you want to add in there. I think on that first part we did. He set me free, like that. Okay, so I hope that gives you lots of ideas on how best to add extra. I'm going to end this video by just playing through the chorus and the verse one time so you get the full picture of how it sounds. And if you are ready, you can come and play right along with me. I hope you share this with your church, with your worship team, and just get a lot of enjoyment out of this wonderful hymn. Here we go. 2, 3, 4. All right, so that gives you lots to think about. I realized when I was playing this, I added one more friend. I can't help myself. So at the end, this is on the chorus. He broke the bonds of prison for me. We end on that C chord. I actually went back and pulled that C chord up a little higher. So we did prison for me, like that. So I flipped that chord up to E, G, C, and add a B flat. And then left hand, we just walk straight up from C up to F, and that lands you on I'm Glory Bound. So I like that. It gives you a little something to fill in that time. Risen for me. Okay, I'm done. I promise. Thanks you guys for tuning in. Give this video a like if it was helpful to you, and I hope to see you next time.